All right. So we got Lexi Berger here. Let me just edit this here. Okay. All right. So we have Alexis Berger here with us. She is. I've been fortunate enough to have the privilege of working with Lexi for the last couple of years now. I met her. She used to work in the office with me here. She works up north at our office in Vero Beach. But Lexi's been a very successful agent here. She's been a pivotal part to our team growth and honestly my growth as a leader too. And it's been cool to watch her grow in her journey in this business. And like I said, it's been a privilege to work with her. So what we're going to do here is ask Lexi some questions that hopefully can be an inspiration and help anybody else who is either looking into getting this business or maybe in the business and kind of struggling and doesn't know where to go and needs a little bit of encouragement to keep going. So, Lexi, what got you into insurance?
Well, I have a degree in business management, and I was managing a restaurant when the pandemic started. But I always kind of hated that job from the beginning. So when the pandemic started, it just really became unbearable. Like the customers were just really unruly. The staff, the same thing. The management staff, I just wasn't getting along with, and just kind of decided it was time to sort of go in a different direction. And I didn't really have a whole lot of ideas. So I just started applying, and luckily I found you. And so when I joined your interview, what you pitched to me, it just made a lot of sense. And so I sort of dove right in. I purchased the course the very same night, and I finished it, relatively quickly, and just sort of never looked back.
Yeah, I almost lost you too there too. You, I think like banker's life almost took you from me.
Yeah, so thank God I didn't go to Banker's Life. What happened was I had interviewed with you, and then once like the insurance licensing thing I sort of decided for sure I was going to get
Hmm.
my insurance license. I like started kind of shopping around for as far as different IMOs. And so Banker's Life had interviewed me as well, and I had sort of like I wasn't sure if I wanted to come to Senior Life Services or to go to Banker's Life. And so I had sort of decided that I was going to go to Banker's Life for one reason or another. That's just what I had decided. And I had texted you because you had messaged me like, hey, you had seen that I sort of stopped making progress on like the exam FX. I was using their,
Hmm.
study platform. And you messaged me like, hey, what's going on? I see that you sort of stopped, doing the course here. And I was like, yeah, I think I'm just going to go to Banker's Life. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I really appreciate the opportunity. And I remember you called me right away. And I declined the call because I was like, that's weird. Like, why is he calling me? And then you texted me like this whole long paragraph. You were like, I promise you that I will give you more personalized attention and training than anybody at Banker's Life. You were like, just give me 4 weeks. And if you're not happy, then, go to Banker's Life. And I was like, okay. And you were like, oh, really? And I was like, yeah, sounds good to me.
Yeah, no, I was super pumped when you said that, and that's a big thing for a new agent starting in the industry because, guys, when you start, especially when you get your insurance license, like you're gonna get calls from all these other IMOs. They're gonna be asking you to work with them, and giving you opportunities. And there's a lot out there, so it's confusing as a new agent. It's like, hey, like where is the grass greenest? And I ran into that when I started. There was a lot of different IMOs that were reaching out to me, and there's so many opportunities on like different job boards for insurance positions. So uh, I believe Lexi would have done well at Banker's Life, and I think she would do well anywhere. But keep in mind, the grass is green where you water it. So if you're looking at different places, understand that they're all going to require a lot of effort. They're going to have their own unique set of challenges, but the grass is really going to get the greenest where you water it. And Lexi's definitely a grass waterer. So Lexi, tell us some of your hobbies. What are some of your hobbies?
My hobbies. Oh, I do a lot of gardening. I really enjoy like my house plants and things. I have two dogs that are like my fur children, so I spend a lot of time with that. My boyfriend Ernie, he also works at SLS. He's one of the coaches here, so we spend a lot of time talking about work.
That's so cool, and that's huge too, guys. You want to get your partner aligned with you on your work and your career, because this business takes a lot out of you. Like it's an emotional strain. So like you may if you're with someone who's working like the normal 9 to 5 type thing, and you come home and you have these like things that you went through during the day, Like they may not totally be able to relate to your lows or your high points. Like it's like, oh, I made a sale. And if someone hasn't been in sales before, they don't understand like the rush that you get from that. You know, it's like they think of like, cool, you went to the gas station and like bought like Cheetos or something, you know, like so it's important, and that's awesome that you guys are like aligned on the same page there. I think that's
definitely makes things easier on both of us. Definitely somebody to sort of empathize with you and bounce ideas off of and things like that.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So, what are some of your goals that that you have that you're working on right now for insurance? Whether it's close or short term or longer term, what are some things that you want out of it, and like, what's your ideal scenario as an agent? Your ideal life?
Well, right now, as far as short-term goals, I'm working on Ultimate Challenge right now. So that's sort of our semi-annual competition where they will award prizes in Mexico. So I was 7th in that at the end of last year. I would like to be,
Wow.
they sort of changed the way that it runs, so I would like to be top 10, going into this year. And that will be finishing up in around July. So that's what I'm working on right now. And then in the future, I am going to start building a team. So I want to, get some people under me and teach other people how to be successful doing that. I think that'll be more towards like the end of this year or beginning of next year is when I'll start really, diving into that.
Awesome. Cool. That's so impressive. Like, think about this. Anybody watching this, like, top 10 of 300 agents, right? Like, that's really impressive. And another thing too that Lexi's done an awesome job with over the last few months is increasing her business persistency. Like how many clients she has stay on the books, because it's one thing to be, what did Eric call it the other day? Like a front end warrior or something like that. Like a front end something, to have like this big number. But what really matters is at the end of the day that we learn here at SLS, because everything is weighted based on what percentage of your business stays. So like we've learned how important that is overall. And like Lexi, I think I don't know if it's there now, but I know in the recent past you were like up above around, I think 70% or more.
Yeah,
like
so
that, right?
super honesty time. My lowest quality was 44% or something, like just awful.
Yeah. But the thing is, if you write a lot of guaranteed issue, it's going to happen. So if you guys are thinking that and you're looking at like, you're like, a lot of people watching this, Lexi, are going to be independent. So it's a totally different setup. They only see their persistency from the side of the carrier in the portal, right? In the carrier's portal. And the carrier a lot of times only measures it based on like placement. So like how many people make their first payment, not like 3, right? So guys, when we're saying this here, that counts for guaranteed issue, writing like debit card guaranteed issue business, where like literally 15% of that is going to stay. So, and that accounts for that, plus the good deals with like the simplified issue bank draft stuff. So we measure it on 13 weeks. So when Lexi says 44% or 70%, which is where she's near now or over now, what that means is that 70% of the deals she writes make their first 3 payments, which is a big deal. So I just wanted to clarify that. But what's helped you, Lexi, increase your business persistency?
I guess I've in the past been sort of a hard closer. I feel like I've sort of pulled that back a little bit. Once you get good at this, you can sort of almost bully anybody into giving you what you want.
Not you. No, not Lexi.
So sort of like pulling back on that a little bit, and then also just really staying on top of it. Being persistent, persistency, like being persistent. Like, if somebody doesn't make their payment, like call them every day. If it's $150 a month policy, that's, almost $2,000 worth of annualized premium. If when you're competing in challenges like this, and if you're trying to get paid and you're trying to get renewals, like stuff like that, you're maybe, it's just one policy, but it does make a difference, when you're competing in challenges, and, at the end of the day, your renewal checks and things like that. So, I just set appointments for everybody. I call everybody, if I'm setting up, a D1P where they're not going to pay their first payment, for 30 days, I'm making sure that I'm following up with them before that payment is actually coming out.
Awesome.
And just doing a policy review. I've gotten a lot of business by doing that too. People really appreciate you following up, like, hey, you got your policy in the mail, like, let's review it and go over it. If they're not happy with it, it's the situation where they're going to cancel it anyway. It's not like if you don't call them that they can't just call the insurance company or, call our IMO directly and just cancel it. And at that point they might actually be mad. It might just be a situation where they just can't afford to do it right now. Maybe they can afford to do it next month. Maybe you can just do, a rebate option or something like that. And, best case scenario, they're thrilled with the policy and they want to max out their coverage. That happened to me the other day. So that's definitely been a big part of keeping my business on the books. Sending out thank you notes. I want my clients to contact me if they have a problem. I don't want them calling the insurance company or calling Senior Life Services, just because nobody's going to try to advocate and save your business like you will.
For sure, that's huge. So, if anybody watching this in telesales, it's even more important to have that done, because you give someone your someone gives you their bank account and social, and then they've never. I mean, Lexi, you probably had this, right? Like, I know you text your clients. Have any of them ever called you like 3 days later and be like, "I just want to make sure I didn't get ripped off"?
Yeah, I've had people call me like 2 hours after the sale, like, "Oh, I just wanted to make sure that this was really your number." That's a test.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So like people, I'm telling you, when you're not face to face with them, that is really important. So she's following up. If she does a post-dated payment, she's following up before that payment is due to make sure that they pay. That's huge for business quality, to make sure you get paid. She is, if someone misses a payment, she's consistently following up with them to make sure that she gives them their best chance of getting that policy back. Also doing policy reviews and upselling on a policy review. So doing that stuff helps reaffirm who you are. And I know Lexi sends her thank you letters out to people, and she always has a handwritten thank you letter that she sends out. You've been doing that for a while.
Yeah, I've been doing that since I started, I think.
Yeah, so that's super, super cool. So if someone's getting into the business, and keep in mind, guys, anybody watching this, the intention of this video is to educate. It's not to recruit or pull anyone to like Senior Life Services. Like, we want to literally just help out people as much as they can. So advice to I preface that because if I say advice to any new agents, and if it's like join SLS, then I don't like, obviously we have a great opportunity here, but the purpose of the video isn't, I don't want to be that guy on YouTube. Right. But what advice do you have to new agents getting into the business? What advice would you give them?
I would say, well, first of all, be patient with yourself. There are no careers that you can start with no experience and no education and like come out the gate, making $100,000 a year. Like, you're not gonna,
looking for your mansion on Zillow.
Like, you're not going to start here and like, your first paycheck is probably not going to be $2,000. That's just not really the way that it works.
It's gonna suck. Yeah, your first month probably
won't
be
it really won't.
In insurance.
But that's okay. My dad is a doctor, and he paid hundreds of thousands of dollars to go to school for 8 years, where he made no money. For the privilege to get to make the money that he makes now. And luckily we don't have to pay for the training that we get. But you do just have to recognize that nothing is going to come immediately. And even if you've been in sales for a while or been in insurance for a while, every place is different. So just be patient with yourself and really don't quit before you really even give yourself a shot. I feel like a lot of people that start, have the ability to be successful, but they just don't give themselves a chance because after, a couple months, they're like, oh, well, you know what? I'm still not, on track to make $100K this year. So I'm not doing good. I'm just going to quit. This just isn't the place for me. I feel like a lot of the people we've had start, your initial talent when you first start out really has very little to do with whether or not you are going to be successful here. And it has a whole lot more to do with being patient and being, persistent and, being resilient. You have to be able to hear no over and over and over again, and still get back and, show up the next day, which is really not easy. It sounds a lot easier than it is, even for me now.
Yeah, no, it's true. And I know Lexi, in her career, like anybody else, she's had some highs and she's had some lows, and there's frustrating moments that come and go. But like Lexi stuck it out, and it's really impressive and it's cool, and it's kind of something that you wear as a badge of honor as an insurance agent. It's like, I made it through my the toughest time, literally, because so many people just come and go, and like she said, you can have a good week, no, it's not impressive for someone to have a good week. What's impressive is for someone to push through. As like looking back, I don't mean like, it is impressive for someone to have a good week. I mean internally, what's impressive is looking back and being like, man, I pushed through all that, all the tough weeks I had. I made it through to get to the other side here, where now a good week is something that I just have to on Sunday be like, I'm having a good week this week, and I know it's going to happen. So what advice do you have for new agents starting out who will run into that discouragement? How did you get through that, and how can other people get through that? And what advice you got for someone feeling those emotions?
Well, it's definitely not easy. And my mental health has definitely been, a huge factor in my success at different points. So having your mind right with doing what we do is really, really important. I would just say, at a certain point, last year things got really hard. I was having some troubles in my personal life that weren't related to work, but that were really spilling over, into being successful at work. And I feel like, really being honest with yourself, like, I went and got some help for the things that I needed help for, and, I'm not embarrassed about that. I suffer with bipolar disorder. So, I meditated for that, and I'm so much happier for it, and that happened,
Yep.
When I first started, or probably like 6 months after I started, where I'm just like, I just don't feel right, and there's places to go to get help for that. And you will feel better. So just be honest with yourself about, if you do really need some like professional help. Exactly. And then also, I think sometimes focusing, like, I know you're super motivated, Justin, by looking at like the bigger picture and like focusing on your like really, huge long-term goals. And like that works for some people, but sometimes when I'm feeling really overwhelmed, that's just like too much for me. Like I can't even like see out that far. And just focusing on like the next, 24 hours, the next 12 hours, the next hour in front of me about what I need to do. Like, I'm not feeling well. The next hour, I just need to dial this phone. Like, that's just what I need to do. And that's, if I accomplish that goal in this next hour, like I will be successful.
It's a win. Yeah. Cool. Sweet. So, how do you reset? Like, how do you give a, how do you snap out of it? Like, is it kind of like, because I know I've seen, for me, sometimes things happen and I don't really snap out of it. I just have to do it anyway until it goes away. So how about you? Any tips? And if you don't know, then you don't know. But
yeah, I mean, a lot of times you're right. Like if you're going to wait to feel motivated to act, then sometimes it's never going to happen. Sometimes you just have to act first and then feel motivated afterwards. So that's definitely, a good thought. Get up and take a walk. Just walk outside, like clear your head. I'll go home and if I'm having a bad day, I'll, go home and, let the dogs out, see my dogs for, 15, 20 minutes, and then go back to work and sit down and almost feel like, I'm starting the day over again. If you have another person, like Ernie, who I'm dating, who also works here, if you have another person that really can empathize with you, go and vent to them. Everybody needs to just get it out and complain sometimes. I'm definitely a complainer, so I'll have a little temper tantrum and then just go back to work.
It's okay. It's your outlet. All good. Now, what do you think makes you strong as a salesperson? What's like your strong point in sales?
I would say my strong point in sales probably.
So I mean, like when I say that, it's like relationship building or closing or like points. It could be multiple things. Like if you're like, I'm good at this, what do you know that you're good at?
I would just say like being really persistent. So just like not giving up on people, if you let me give you numbers, chances are I'm going to follow up with you for a really long time until you're either tell me that you don't want it or to get lost or you actually buy. I'm never the person to hang up on the Mrs. Jones that is interested, but it's just taking her like 25 minutes to find her checkbook. Like I'll hang in there with you. And then I'll always follow up, I'll set up appointments for people, and I'll keep following up with people, and I just don't take no for an answer, as its face value. The first time somebody tells you no, like, just ask again. We all were really good at that when we were kids. If you ask your mom, like, Mom, I want to have a sleepover with my cousin, like, and if she says no, like, that was
Yep.
definitely not the end of that conversation. I promise.
No.
You just ask again and again until, she said yes, I'll be really
Exactly.
good, I promise,
Yep, you got to rehabilitate that. And I think I think honestly, persistency, now it shows in your business persistency
Mm-hmm.
too, right? But persistency is like the persistency towards a goal, regardless of what it is like the determining factor in this. So like, I used to love when Lexi would be in the office, because like where my desk was, I would see where her desk was through the window, and I could just see her face when she was in a close, and like the person was just giving her crap. Like I just know that like countenance that she'd have, the facial expression of like, I would look and I'd be like, yep, she's in the close and she's sick and tired of hearing their excuses why they can't do it, and like then it's gonna happen. So I agree. I think that's a big trait of yours, a big positive trait of yours too. And now, in terms of shortcoming, what do you think is one of the most challenging shortcomings that you've faced in the business? Because we all have them.
Definitely just my emotions and like keeping my head right. I know that I'm good at what I do, and if I just sit there and do it, that the results will come. So it's just about not getting in my head and not letting, external factors or what is going on, that particular day to, affect the way that I perform. Professionals show up and do the work every single day, whether they feel like it or not. And that's a lot easier said than done when nobody's gonna, fire you
Mm.
if you don't come and do it. So
That's a huge thing for Lexi, by the way. Sorry, she showed up every day. Like you were there every morning. Like it wasn't like I rarely did you ever have. I can't even think of a day when you didn't show up, unless like you had something like super personal going on that like anybody would have to go
Mhm.
handle.
Being
Um,
reliable, and that's the other thing that I was gonna say, like being reliable. Like I try to be the type of person where if I were to not show up, or like if something bad were to happen to me, I would want, within a couple hours somebody to be like, "Where's Lexi? Like this is not normal. She's always here." And so when you're that type of person, and people can trust you, to always show up and to do the work, not only does it increase, your business, and you trust yourself more, like, show up and be reliable for yourself so that you can reliably, take care of yourself and, be a real person and, be able to do all the things that, support yourself. It's harder here to be an adult.
it, it is. It is. And for anybody here who's like growing an agency, what I want you to understand too is like people in Lexi are so important to your company and your business, and just like your own personal mental health, because it's very easy for people who give a lot of problems, who aren't very productive, to dominate a lot of the time in your day. And one of my shortcomings as a leader has been like not expressing my appreciation towards Lexi and the other people that I have on my team who have hung around enough, or for through this whole thing, because sometimes I can get distracted in the day to day of other stuff. But you excited for
I'm so
Mexico?
excited for Mexico.
That's where we're going now. I like lose track.
And Justin, we gotta pause it because I gotta grab my laptop charger. My laptop charger.
And if anybody would like to look at some of my other interviews, we actually I have an interview with Lexi's boyfriend Ernie, and if you look up, you're going to see something come across the screen that's going to show you that you can just click on it to watch it. And then I have a whole playlist of other successful agent interviews, whether they're at SLS or they're with different companies. It's all selling over the phone, so I'm exclusively telesales focused. Now, Lexi, if someone's watching this and they're like, "Hey, I relate to this girl and I want to get in touch with her," how can someone get in touch with you?
Oh, for sure. You can always text me on my cell phone, so that's 407 You can always text me there. That's my personal number. Just let me know who you are and that that you watch this video and that's the reason why you're messaging me. Or you can email me as well. It's Alexis, Alexis Berger, Berger 2016 at gmail.com. So you can always email me too. Again, just let me know, why it is that you're emailing me, and I'd be happy to talk with you or give you any advice that I have.
Yeah, for sure. And if you feel like you'd like working with Lexi at some point, if you relate to any of this stuff, like I said, the intention of this video is not to be as a recruiting video, but we do have people who watch this stuff and are say, hey, I like you guys. I feel like I can relate. Now, you can always reach out to Lexi if at some point you'd like to work with her. You can reach out to me, jve@thejve.com, and just send me an email and just mention SLS opportunity. And we're always looking for talented people to join our organization. So, Lexi, thank you so much for this, and we appreciate your time here. And everybody, hope you appreciated this. And once again, if you look up, you're going to see the interview with Lexi's boyfriend Ernie, and also next to it is going to be a playlist of all the other different interviews that I've had with the agents here as well. So you'll have more than enough hours of content